It's a proud moment for me to be representing the board and our CEO here in Nigeria. And for me, we've got only one outside office from China before, which was in London. But visiting Intertrade yesterday and seeing our new showroom, I am completely so happy on behalf of our company. It is the best one outside of obviously our main one in China, but thank you to Intertrade and Nagosa and to his team. I've sent videos and pictures back to our CEO and chairperson, and everyone's very happy. So for me, thank you to Intertrade for a fantastic location to promote Higher Biomedical. It's important for our brand and for you to see other opportunities to get past the particular and past monopolies in this particular products for cold chain and for biomedical, to have another option from the world's leading IoT company. So I'll get Ian I'm going to do a little bit about the board, but I think Agosa touched a little bit on sustainability, which is very important for Higher Biomedical and for a global business with where we're heading with our products. And I'm going to talk briefly a little bit later about the latest minus 150 ultra-low freezer, which is the only one in the world with hydrocarbon technology. So I'll ask Ian to move through because I know I only had 10 minutes, which is not a long time to talk about Higher Biomedical. And I'd also like to apologise for my attire. My suitcase did not arrive from France, and I've been here 4 days, so I'm in the same clothes, which is getting washed daily, but so maybe not come too close to me. Okay, so I think my bag may arrive as I leave. So usually I would be dressed a little bit more formal, so please forgive me for being in my travel attire. So Ian will move on. Higher Biomedical, Higher Group, a 40+ billion organisation, which is the top domestic product producer in the world, and it has been for 13 consecutive years. So when you're talking about Higher and the Higher brand, we're talking one of the most powerful brands in the world. Okay, so when you're dealing with us, you're dealing with that particular name. We own businesses around the world, which you can see on the screen, such as GE Appliances in the US, Fisher & Paykel in South Pacific, in Australia and New Zealand, Aqua in Asia, and also Hoover Candy in Europe. So we're in over 160 countries, which you can see on the board there, with 122 brand marketing centres around the world. So that's a little bit about the group, because I said I don't have much time today to talk about the group. And we are in the top 500 companies in the world. So you're actually talking to one of the leaders in refrigeration and freezer technology. From that 20 years ago, Higher Biomedical evolved out of the greater Higher Group. What's important about this is that the technology and the understanding of the product and of the technology came from our past experience. What we have now is a company that is obviously part of a greater group, but what you're dealing with is actually a smaller family company, where if you're already dealing with our Agosa or any of our business partners, you'll fully understand that we are a grounded business that available to speak to you on the any day. The issue is that, yes, you get the greater Higher Group's brand and platform across the world, but you're dealing with face-to-face business people from China and from in our particular markets around the world. I'm going to talk, so that's briefly a little bit about the group. We've got the latest manufacturing plant in the world, currently with 50,000 square metres in Qingdao's new high-tech zone, which we opened 2.5 years ago, with just 50,000 square metres over 2 floors on a 75,000 square metre site. What's very exciting is that last year we started building our new factory next door, which is 95,000 square metres. So you're talking to a company that's investing in the future for life science and biomedical products and solutions. So you're dealing with the right manufacturer, and what's important for us is that we have the right partners and key stakeholders on the ground around the world. And this is why we're with Intertrade. They're our best partner in this part of the world, and we are very pleased and proud to have Agosa and his family and his team part of the Higher Group. So what I'm trying to say with that is that we are the experts in manufacturing, but local people, you guys are the experts in your country. So we want to have a closer bonded relationship to understand exactly your needs. The higher culture, the greater higher culture is about zero distance to customer. And we want to adhere to that culture. So our rend and he culture also is important to what we do as a business. The rend and he you is now studied in the US as well, which was created by our former chairman. What's important about that is each individual employee of our company is their own entrepreneur. So they have the opportunity to build their business and their area, which is what Ian's doing. Ramosa also has the opportunity to do in Nigeria. So for me, why I joined Higher Biomedical and was convinced to join was where this company was going. Yes, I was working for a competitor a few years ago, but when you get the opportunity to see our new factory, meet our team, and come and see what has been built here in Abuja, you understand where Higher Biomedical and our partners such as Intertrade are heading in this world. But we can only do that if we know you and understand exactly your needs. So it's very important for when Ian's in country and for Gosen and for myself is to understand those needs. We have a strong R&D team that's very flexible and very fast, so we can produce and build new products to fit your region. So having a close relationship with you is important so that we can build products and invest in products that we will need in a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years that are required for your region. So I've got a little bit off track there, but it's very important for you to understand that our culture is zero distance to customer. So it's very important for us to do this. So Ian, if you move on very quickly, because I know we haven't got much time. Obviously, we have a strong, if you go back one slide, please. We have a very strong relationship with WHO, and you know that we've grown our business to 30+% of the WHO UNICEF business in the last few years, and that's because of our strong quality, and that's because of our competitive pricing for that quality. We are now in the top 3 in the world for ULT freezers, and we believe within 2 years we'll be number 1. Something I'm very proud of is that the UK team worked very closely with Pfizer, and only 2 products in the whole world were approved by Pfizer for research and for holding their building for the vaccine for COVID was Higher Biomedical and another competitor. So that's only 2 in the world. So we're very proud of that. So that's a very big stepping stone for our company. So a little bit, obviously, we're CE marked and all the requirements that need to be done for each individual country, region, to ensure that our products adhere to your country's policies and legislation. So next slide. I just want to show you the basic management structure. I talked about Dr. Liu and Mr. Wong. Some of you might know Mr. Wong and Dr. Liu, but that's basically the senior management, and I'm sure that you would know Enrique.
Deployment officer, latest technologies and ideas on support Nigeria primary healthcare industry system by our limited effort. For example, as has explained before, we have supplied installed STD working code room in MPHCDA warehouse, and we also installed STDs in some other states like Delta states and Kano state as well. Then in 2019, the first solar direct drive cold room has been actually installed, and with the latest PLC control and also the other water tank and the thermal energy storage technologies. And this code room is still taking STD code room now is still taking its responsibilities for some programs like COVID-19 vaccine rollout and other programs. Last year, this particular code room has been awarded by Global Leap GECC program, which is the program is designed for food storage with off-grid areas and other rural areas. when the project manager of the program came to Nigeria for installing these remote temperature monitoring devices, she was surprised that this cold room was actually designed for medical grade product storage. And in 2021, Biomedical supplied ultra-low temperature freezers and get installed in 19 locations all over the country, which is through UNICEF for nationwide Pfizer vaccine storage. And this is to ensure such significant program for the nation be implemented successfully. Biomedical and the local partner Intertrade has also prepared some backup equipment and spare parts for such important program. Even though there's no issue has happened till now, but that's our responsibilities for the in terms of commitment to the society of public health. And in 2022, the Higher Biomedical West Africa Training Center, which is invested by Biomedical, has been finally established in Nigeria. Next slide, please. In this slide, I would like to introduce why that Biomedical needs this implementation of localization strategy. From a manufacturer point of view, and as Peter has mentioned, in horticulture, our final goal is to get zero distance with our end users, and which means every single user's feedback of how biomedical equipment will be received by our product manager and R&D office in China, and eventually it improves our products and fit into its applications in the place, which will deliver the best experiences to our end users and finally support life science research and public health industry. And from a local service point of view, why it is important to set up the local facility of training center, I think the reason is that we should deliver a comprehensive training services to all our end users to make sure that every single user will have the knowledge of operating our equipment properly and then reduce any potential damage that is caused by insufficient training. And meanwhile, we believe that Biomedical should invest in such platform to fill the routine maintenance gap, which is usually ignored by our operators. But most importantly, and again, we'll have the channels to receive the feedbacks from our end user. Moreover, I would like to speak a little bit more about the. I'll give you an example of the realizations of after-sales services from our end. So since 2015 that we donate 2 solar direct drive refrigerator and freezers to local health facilities. And every year that hire team comes to Nigeria, the first mission for us is to go to those sites and check the operating status and ask for challenges from local staff. And except the 2 years COVID period, our team has been doing this for almost 6 years already. And each year we'll make a summary of our new findings and report to headquarters to improve our products based on our summary. Finally, I'll thank you again for attending this event and also conference. Thank you.
I want to call on representative from STEPCO Nigeria Limited, Blessing Uda, to give a good message.
Hi, Biomedical. They've really shown diligence in their work. I've been opportuned to buy a lot of their products, and trust me, it's worth buying. And I want to also thank Intertrade, the manager, Mr. Egosa Ogedebe. Thank you for what you're doing for Hair Biomedical, and we hope that this would enlarge your industry in Nigeria. Thank you very much.
To help us do justice to our panel discussion, in no particular order, we have Dr. Audu Moshood, vaccines and cold chain logistic expert at Sirani Group. Please, a round of applause for Dr. Audu. We have Dr. Mohammed Adis, Executive Chairman, National State Primary Healthcare Development Agency, the Chairman of the Executive Secretaries of Primary Healthcare Development Agencies. Please, a round of applause for Dr. Mohammed. We also have Yusuf Ibrahim from 54 Jane. A round of applause for Yusuf, please. Also on our list, I have Dr. Bello Yahaya, Senior Medical Officer, Logistics Department, National Primary Healthcare Development Agency. Please, a round of applause for him. And to anchor this section, my bosom friend, I've adopted him, Mr. Peter Pedersen.
I'll start off. I just want to thank everybody again for your time today, and thank you to all the kind words that were spoken earlier by other speakers regarding Higher Biomedical, our products, and of course our partnership with Intertrade. But again, I'd like to welcome to the panel Dr. Moshood, and to his left Dr. Bello, Dr. Mohammed, and Mr. Yusuf, who I had the pleasure to spend a bit of time with yesterday. I'm sitting to the side because the most important people are sitting here on the panel, and I'm just here to ask a few questions, and then we will open up the discussion from there. So I will ask Dr. Mohammed first, if that's okay with you. Okay. From your experience with cold chain equipment in terms of sustainability as regards to vaccine storage and transportation for immunization, can you tell us a bit about your experience in the past in Nigeria in particular, of course?
Thank you very much. Good morning, all. The organizers of this very important discussion. I think I'm glad that I'm here in your midst today with my colleagues from various states, because most of my colleagues are hearing about everybody knows that immunization is a core activity of primary healthcare in every part of the state and Nigeria at large, because you cannot have this immunization done very well if these vaccines are not stored in a very good conditions. And as at then, we know that the paucity of electricity in Nigeria, many times we're using electricity drive fridges to store these vaccines. And we know because of this paucity of light, these vaccines, we do have a lot of challenges in terms of maintaining the temperature. And this is one thing that I think over the time with the coming of the SDD, it has addressed a lot of issues regarding that. And also, you know that primary healthcare, because of the spread of primary healthcare, they are located in hinterlands where there's even no electricity. So even if you have a hub-spoke arrangement of storing these vaccines using the electricity, the challenge is now, how do you transport these vaccines to those localities without having problem with potency, without having problem with interference with temperature? These are issues that we met when we came into office, as challenges regarding to issue of vaccination. And again, one other very important thing is that vaccines are not given prominence in terms of budgeting. I think because of the cost of producing the vaccines and the cost of maintaining these vaccines, I think they should have a soft head economic code that funding are dedicated for vaccine maintenance within the agency too. So these are the little issues I think we experience as an agency in Nasarawa State and some part of states in Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mohammed. There's definitely a lot of challenges right across the world with keeping vaccine efficacy at the right level. I suppose today you have the opportunity to see and hear about Higher Biomedical, that we know that we cover the complete cold chain from manufacturer to the last mile. So we're looking forward to working closely with your executive secretaries around the country to deliver a program for maybe one-stop shop where we can offer that to you as a partnership. So thank you very much for your key points. I appreciate that. And I hope that we can help, ensure the efficacy of the vaccines to the last mile together. I'm going to hand the same question over to Dr. Mushud regarding your experience with cold chain in terms of sustainability and storage and transportation. Your experience in this particular area.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I'm going to speak to some of the things the Executive Secretary spoke to. Majority of the health facilities in the country and even the food stores, they lack regular electricity. So really, having this sustainable cold chain equipment in the country has gone a long way into helping making vaccines potent during transportation and delivery to last mile in the country. And of course, we all know having this, especially the solar direct drive, we all know how eco-friendly they are, and also the fact that these cold chain equipment have a very long half-life. I mean, just we can use them for 10 years and above. And what this helps us to do in the country is that it helps in supply planning, right? It helps us to project, especially with the big equipment in the country. It helps us to project how much vaccines we can store for up to 10 years in the country. And of course, if this equipment are not sustainable, if they are such that they will need electricity, this will not be possible in the country. Of course, we know that it also has its issues, right? The major issue speaks to the issue of maintenance, especially at lower levels in the country. The routine maintenance, the preventive and curative maintenance. We know a lot of states need support, especially financially and technically, to maintain this equipment. And these are areas where the private sector might need to support the state to ensure that these equipment are maintained and they have that long, should I say, half-life that we expect them to last for and help the country in keeping vaccines potent for children in the country. Also, speaking to the training, and speaking to preventive maintenance now, the training of both the health workers at the last mile and also the state technicians, the cold chain technicians in the states. There's still some gaps in it. A lot of work has been done in ensuring that the training is as optimal as possible. However, there's still some gaps when it comes to knowledge transfer. Majority of these technicians, especially for insourced cold chain maintenance, they are government staff. And we know the civil service rule. There are times they need to be transferred, they need to retire, such that the new guys that are taking up the role, they wouldn't have undergone that training. So a system needs to be put in place to ensure that knowledge is cascaded to new people taking up such roles, because this will also go into maintaining these sustainable equipment in the country.
You made some very good points, and that's particularly about longevity of products. And I think that's where the quality of Higher Biomedical also comes in, that we give you that longevity of a product lasting its entire lifetime. However, our partnership with such as Intertrade provides the training and maintenance ongoing, so that, as I said before in my original talk, is that we're not here just to give you the product, we're here to provide the lifetime of service. And I agree with you. What's important is that the person at the last mile actually understands how to use the product correctly. So training is very important, not just for the end user, but also for the technicians in each region. And I think that's when you get a chance to visit our new offices here in Nigeria, in Abuja, you'll see that we have several rooms for different sizes, depending on the size of the training requirements, to provide that training. Also from Higher Biomedical, obviously it's been a bit tough with COVID for everybody in the last few years to be able to travel, but we also provide the online training as well. So I think that's very important that we continue that dialogue that's been mentioned by both of you regarding longevity and the sustainability and the efficacy of managing the vaccine. So I hope that we can work together to ensure that we can save more lives and ensure that happens in the future. So thank you very much. You made some good points. I know I didn't cover everything, but I know Ian's taken many notes that we can discuss later, and appreciate that. So not to cut off, but I'll move on to Dr. Bello. Similarly, about your experiences around the sustainability of equipment in the past, because I hope what we can learn at Higher Biomedical today is the issues that are affecting you and your end users and the people within Nigeria, to make sure they have the products to save lives. And that's my passion as well. So I hope that today I can take the feedback from all of you to ensure that our products continue to meet the needs of sustainability. Sorry, Dr. Bello. So your thoughts.
Thank you, and good morning. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Bello here from MPCD. So I will be sharing my experience in terms of cold chain. Ever since I joined the agency, as a country, what we face is issue of storage capacity at various levels. And this is factored from the increasing rapid growth in population. As such, you have a lot of catchment populations to cover in terms of having functional cold chain equipment to maintain the potency, like mentioned by the previous speakers. And to tackle that challenge, the government and partners have invested heavily to make sure that these cold chain equipments are provided at various levels. And of course, looking into the various challenges, as mentioned by previous speakers, issue of energy challenge, and also to ensure equity, especially in hard-to-reach populations where the electricity is not there. And even in urban cities where you have electricity is not as regular as it should be. So to avoid all these problems, solar cold chain equipment were resorted to. And besides the growth in population, we also have issue of introduction of new vaccines. We have a lot of new vaccines that have been introduced, and this has really increased in overstretching the cold storage that we have already. So that was why the government is investing and continue to invest with its partners to expand the storage space. Of course, as we introduced new vaccines, also then came novel diseases like COVID, and this also even complicated the situation in the sense that we moved away from our traditional cold chain temperature that we're used to, +2 to +8 for most of the vaccines, and the -25 to -15 degrees centigrade, to the mRNA vaccines like the Pfizer, the Moderna, that require ultra storage. And this made the country also to have to look into that space to even learn how these equipments are going to work, considering our peculiarities. For instance, when you receive Pfizer that needs -90 to -60, and you need to transport it, so how will you do that movement?
Definitely changed the vaccine thinking.
Sure. So
we were looking to safety for 2 to 8 degrees, right?
Exactly.
And also we're at -80.
-80.
So it definitely was a game changer for all of us.
Yeah. So, and that was what even led to, start thinking of how to transport these vaccines. Of course, we have to look into the guidance and see That's what even led us to start partnering to even get dry ice to make sure that these vaccines are transported. And when you have the ultra cold chain equipment in the state and the vaccines are there, there's this challenge of sometimes the ultra cold chain equipment fails. And what do you do in the event that this equipment fails because of the temperature? And a lot of partnership and technology coming into play. There are some portable ultra cold chain freezers that are being in the field, and the agency has also gotten some corporate donations from using these portable cold chain devices that are ultra. So in case the ultra cold chain equipment is faulty, so the cold chain officer or the technician can transfer these vaccines into this portable, and they can also be used to transport the vaccines to the local areas and the facilities. So this is some of the experience that we've had in the cold chain space. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. I think you good point. So I think budgetary constraints are an issue for all countries when it comes to healthcare, and to spend money, all of a sudden you're investing in traditional cold chain for vaccine, to then have to take a complete turnaround and invest in minus different for Pfizer vaccines was a very challenging for every country to do very quickly. And I think the team in Nigeria should be congratulated for what happened here and from the government as quickly as possible in a tough situation. So thank you for your key points. I think transportation has been difficult no matter what the temperature level of the vaccine should be. However, I think we all need to improve, which is our real-time tracking of the whether it's the box or whether it's the truck or whether it's been localized. We need to make sure that the temperature stays stable with real-time tracking devices. So we can talk about that a little bit later as well. But I'm going to jump over to Mr. Yusuf for a different question from the private sector. So, and thank you guys. I'll come back to you for a couple more questions before we wrap up. So thank you. So Yusuf from 54 Gene, right? What do you think are the key challenges biotechnology companies like yours face in the cold chain technology sector in Nigeria in particular?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Peter and team, for inviting me for this panel discussion, and particularly also I want to thank my fellow panelists actually for sharing a table with you, co-professionals in your own rights. So for 54 Gene generally, biotechnology companies generally, so there are these specific challenges that I will be speaking about, mainly that have to do with institutions that are into biomedical research. So one of the first things you want to look at, it has to do with pricing. So obviously, of course, we have had experience, procuring cold chain equipment from different vendors, right? So you want to find out what works best for you at, competitive pricing, right? Because you want to maximize, of course, your budget. So for us at 54, you wanted to find kind of solution to how we can cut cost and then maintaining, best qualities, right? Yeah. So and that gap actually has been filled by higher. Yeah. So we have different vendors, mainly for cold chain, mainly ultra low temperature freezers. Yeah. So and then also when you put that together with capacity. So I'll give example. For example, we have ultra low freezers that have the capacity for 959 liters. Yeah, exactly. The big ultra low freezer. And then we have the smaller one of about 450, for example, from other vendors I'm seeing. And then, so when you put this together, you have about, from higher, we have twice the capacity that has the same power consumption. So you see, of course, while you are trying to double your capacity, you are also maintaining that capacity at the same power consumption with others that have less than that. That is one. Secondly, you also want to make sure that the equipment you are procuring are kind of amenable to upgrading. So if you want to upgrade from one equipment to another, you should be able to have that capacity whereby the equipment you are procuring can also support the kind of products or materials you want to store in them. That has also been fulfilled by Hire, because I remember when we first started, we were using a lot of different kind of materials stored in different forms of ultra low freezers, of course. So when we acquired low freezers from Hire, we're able to transfer those materials from those freezers to the higher freezers comfortably without having to say, oh no, this configuration does not fit higher freezers. And then third thing also I want to talk about has to do with customer support. Yeah, exactly. I remember sometimes in 2021, we had about 3 ultra-low freezers from Hire. But unfortunately, one of them did not actually come up. Yeah, we set it up, but it did not attain -85 exactly. So what you had to do then, we had to contact Hire, and within less than 48 hours, we had it, fixed. Yeah, that is a key thing, of course. Yeah. So apart from the fact that you are getting this, equipment from somewhere far away from home, quote unquote, you also have the capability around you that you can fix these things, as problems develop. Yeah, that is also a key thing that some of the key challenges that we faced that then Hire has been able to take care of.
Thank you, Yusuf. I think as a company, we have issues that we need to improve. And learning from today and ongoing is how do we improve and get those issues fixed much quicker. Every company will have issues with their products and solutions. That just happens with transportation and usage. But what we are good and strong at is providing that services right to the last mile, right to the end user, to be able to respond very quickly, and whether that's from the local intertrade or from our other partners, but definitely also from China. That's one thing I've learnt as a foreigner living and working in China, is I don't think the team ever go to sleep, which is also sometimes a concern for me, for them as human beings, but they work very long hours. So I think that's where it comes from, the quick turnaround and answering the questions and any issues. But you talked about our products and how they interchange with other products. What's important about the technology from Hire Biomedical is that whether you have a biosafety cabinet, a refrigerator, if you've got a touch screen, it's the same configuration and interface. So you don't have to train your staff on different products. The same interface works, whether it's a biosafety cabinet, ULT freezer, refrigerator, it's the same interface system, which is one of the qualities in engineering and innovative parts of the Hire Biomedical R&D team. So thank you, Yusuf. I will come back to you a little bit later, but I'm going to go back to Dr. Mohammed very quickly. Thank you. You may, and everyone's touched on this question a little bit in the previous answers, but can you relate your experience in terms of service and support in the past regarding looking after the products and how you recommend we could do that better?
Maintenance of equipment? Yeah. Thank you very much. I think talking about the support in terms of maintenance of the equipment that we have in our various facilities. I think I want to use this opportunity to thank the National Primary Economic Agency because of that deliberate policy that they brought in terms of having MOU signed with the agency and service maintenance companies. Because I think that is a very good attempt to address gaps that we have in terms of breakdown of the equipment, because in the past we discovered that this MOU is not signed. They send SDDs to states, and we just receive these SDDs, send it to the facility that have little or no knowledge about the maintenance. So I think we should strengthen that aspect in that before this equipment are supplied, the company that is supplying this equipment in collaboration with the end user should have that policy that they sign. They should give a step down training to do to the end user so that the minimal maintenance in the facility and in the state is going to be there, because the knowledge gap is very wide. In Nigeria, we know we don't have a lot of biomedical engineers, but I believe we can task shift, because most of them are health workers that had no knowledge of biomedical engineering in their training institution. So if we task shift and ensure that the minimal maintenance knowledge is there, and that MOU is signed and it's maintained. I'm sure that gap in terms of breakdown of equipment, and you have to make a call to Lagos or to Abuja. There are places where before you even go to the facility where these SDs are being situated, you have to travel miles, cross through rivers, you have to use canoe, sometimes you have to go on bike for like 6 hours. So I think with this knowledge, it's going to address that gap, pending when the engineers will be available on site to maintain to do the actual maintenance. Thank you.
I think some key points there that affect many countries as well, that to get to that facility can be quite arduous to reach, and as you said, by canoe, bike, animals carrying the product. So I think it's very important to be able to create and ensure that we deliver, as a company such as Hire Biomedical, that we deliver that end user requirements of training. Yeah, even the basics of training to how to look after it in a remote location, so that we can help with that training to reduce any problems that could occur. So I think that's well received, and thank you very much, because it's a very poignant point that we must make sure that everyone's trained. And I think as we move forward in Nigeria, we'll be able to deliver that a lot better. So thank you very much. Very key points. And same question to you, Dr. Mashud. About your particular, I know both you, Dr. Bello, touched on this, but what's your experience regarding good and bad for service and support training? Because we want you here today because we want to learn what we need to do better as well.
Yeah, thanks. Speaking to the good, one of the beautiful things that I think has been ongoing in the country is such that when these equipment are deployed to health facilities and cold stores, and on-site training is conducted for the health workers and also the technicians that maintain this equipment, right? But there's also some gaps, and I'll speak to the gaps in terms of monitoring and also actual response when equipment have issues. To the monitoring, the current system that is in place is such that a health worker goes to work in the morning and charts the temperature of the equipment, monitors the temperature of the equipment, right? But there are times where maybe due to competing priorities, due to large volume of clients to attend to, the health worker is unable to do this, right? And then there's that gap. If the equipment is faulty, it's not picked up as quickly as it should. And I think one of the things that we can do to strengthen the monitoring system is what we currently do, which is making remote temperature monitoring devices available for these equipment. However, for the RTMDs, we still find out that it's still the state coaching officers, the health workers that look at the RTMD portal to notice which equipment are not functional. And this is where either it's the local vendors, Intertrade Limited can come in, because I know they probably have access to this portal. They should also have maybe dedicated staff that look at this portal on a daily basis or a more routine basis. It doesn't have to be daily. And they can already pick up on equipment that are not functional. Rather than waiting for states to reach out to them, they can already reach out to state or even health facility staff to say, we noticed from our portal that there's some alarms and some equipment appear to be non-functional. Could you check the equipment? Is it, because sometimes you get alarms because the equipment have been open for such a long time, right? And when they close it, the temperature regulates, right? That's one of the things we can do for the monitoring system. Speaking to the response, there are times where equipment failure are reported to local vendors, and the response time, the lag in response time is just too much. And the vaccines that are kept in this equipment, especially for facilities that do not have a strong contingency plan, these equipment are liable to become impotent from exposure to heat, right? So that system needs to be strengthened, right? In such that the response time is very quick. And also when responding to equipment, because one thing that goes on in the country is such that the capacity of government staff are built to ensure that every solution, every program is sustainable. When the private sector exits the system, when the donors and partners exit the system, the government can pick it up and run with it. When these local vendors are responding to equipment failure, it will be better or it will be best to actually go with state technicians to this equipment, such that, especially for equipment under warranty, for example, majority of equipment are under 10-year warranty. What happens after 10 years, right? The government needs to pick it up, and the people that will pick it up are the technicians. So you need to go with these technicians to respond to this equipment failure. In that process, the technicians' capacities are built to respond to equipment failure and to actually repair this equipment. So these are the things that I think we still need to strengthen and look at when it comes to monitoring and maintenance of this equipment in the country.
Very good points is the monitoring, because the efficacy or the potency of the vaccines can be saved very quickly if there's a response back to the, as you're right, somebody might be looking after a very remote location for vaccines and they don't have the time to keep an eye on everything because they're so busy with the customers or clients coming in. So I think we have, it doesn't matter whether it's high biomedical or competitor, we have good remote monitoring systems. But if they're not being utilised both at the end user or the last mile and back at headquarters, there needs to be better connectivity and relationship in real time. So I think that's something that we can definitely take on board, how we can work more closely so that they understand the remote monitoring and getting that response quickly. And you're right, sometimes it might be just shutting the door, and there's a quick alert. I know that our real-time system does have different alarms and different things, but if it's one person in that location, how can they do everything? So we need to find a way to support remotely and provide that technology, I suppose, and to support that. So very good points to try and ensure we support the end user who's busy all day and obviously save the vaccines from damage to potency. So good points, and I think that's something we can definitely take on board today as well. So thank you very much. I'd like to keep talking about this because it is one of the major issues is the real-time monitoring and the response, but I think we can probably talk about that a little bit more off camera later when there's more time. So Dr. Bello, I want to just the same question to you, your experience, because I think from Dr. Mohammed so far and Dr. Mushid, it's very important, these after-sales service maintenance and as Dr. Mushid said, the monitoring. So your thoughts on sustainability, your experience in service and support and
Thank
requirements for training.
Okay, thank you very much. I concur with what my co-panelists mentioned, the ES, Dr. Addis and Dr. Mashud. The issue of training and retraining cannot be overemphasized because most of the times there is this turnover of health workers. Some retire, some leave the service for other walk of life, and some die as the years go by. So there's need to have a crop of health workers that are really trained in this field, especially considering the complexity and the importance of maintaining the equipment, because the equipment, perhaps if they are not maintained, it will affect the potency of the vaccines and, of course, the ability of the vaccines to save life. And talking about the maintenance, the point raised by Dr. Addis of tax shifting is very important in the sense that irrespective of the background of the health worker, especially at the service delivery level, that health worker can be trained and to understand how this equipment can be maintained. Perhaps if the planned preventive maintenance is implemented as at when due, it will reduce the breakdown of the equipment. And this is what is really affecting the equipment. Sometimes just to open the drain and the water is or defrost the equipment, a lot of activities, or even dust the panel, the solar panel, so that the rate of absorption of the heat is improved, and then the work of the equipment is prolonged. So I think the issue of training, it needs to be the investment in that direction needs to be very strengthened. And then the issue of having spare parts readily available. Sometimes equipment, just a fuse is not working, and then you have to walk from one state to miles away to get the fuse to fix the equipment. So if we identify the frequently broken parts and make those available, and of course use the local technician from the facilities or from around the facilities to fix those items. So you don't need to call a major technician from Lagos to come down to Sokoto just to fix a fuse. So that technician, when he comes for the installation, he should use that avenue to train or even identify a local technician through the state primary healthcare agencies, so that technician locally can serve as the technician for minor repairs, except if there is a major breakdown that the other technician can be brought. Of course, also talking about the training, we can also leverage on supportive supervision to refresh the memory of these healthcare workers. So in every avenue that we have, if we use that avenue to engage the healthcare workers, to ask them, there are basic things that when you ask, they are not being done. So constant reminders through every avenue we have will make sure that those things that needs to be done on daily basis, on weekly basis, on monthly basis are done. And of course, if we implement this, it will prolong the durability and the workability of those equipments being deployed.
Some very good points. Governments with taxpayers' money invest a lot of money in the products and solutions, and obviously the vaccines. So I think some key points that I've taken from here is training is not just the initial training for first day. So you learn, the first group of people come in, they learn how to use the product, they learn how to maintain the product, and then 6 months later, that person leaves that position, and somebody that goes there hasn't been trained. And then that's where the issues could become a problem. So I think ongoing training is just as important. Investment in ongoing training is is something I've definitely taken from today. And I think it's very important that we find a system, whether it's through our training videos, that somebody has to tick a box to get a certificate before they can manage that particular product or that particular region. I think that's something we can do fairly easy. It's just that how we implement that is what we need to do as a group from today, is to ensure that not just the initial grouping gets trained, but they get updated training just as a reminder, because they do get busy, you do get tired. So just a reminder, you must do this once a week, you must do this once a month. And then again, once a new person starts, they're fully trained. So keeping an eye on the staffing levels as well, and who's coming and who's going. And we could probably do that in some sort of system that we have, but very, very good points. But investment, not just in product, not just in vaccine, but in training will help the whole process be a lot better. And spare parts is a very key point. And it doesn't matter where I go, Dr. Pello, this is a key point from every distributor around the world, is spare parts for immediate fix of a product as soon as possible. So thank you for that. And I said we are covering very significant and important points for lives here today. And I know that we haven't got all day. I would love to be talking to you gentlemen a lot more, but I'm going to have to move through quickly. But I don't want to dismiss the issues, but I think these issues have been taken very seriously, that we need to fix as a company and as a government and as individuals. I think we can do this together. So I'm going to head over to Yusuf a little bit from the private sector. You touched on this particular answer to this question a little bit earlier, but a little bit, I'm here representing Higher Biomedical, so I need a little bit of feedback about how we're working with you. So from your point of view, how has Higher Biomedical helped solve the challenges of 54 gene as a business? And I'm going to make that a two-part. And what are the key products or consumables from our company have made your business more productive or a game changer for 54 gene?
Yeah, thank you, Peter, for that question. So specifically, I'll be talking about, I think I'll pick up from where Dr. Moshood spoke about. So he talked about monitoring really. So you have cold chain and you want to make sure that your samples or your vaccines, as the case may be, are in good condition. Yeah. So so we have these remote monitors, mainly from remote temperature monitors from Higher Biomedical. We already have them, installed and then monitored also. So what happens is whenever there is a kind of deviation from set temperature on your device, freezer, or when samples are picked from site to hospitals or lab, you will be able to trace to see real time the temperature of your samples at every point in time. So what that gives you is the ability to provide records, for example, temperature records for all the samples. You have one that also serves good purpose when it comes to accreditation, really, because if you apply for any form of accreditation, you need to provide records of temperature excursion in your cold chain. Yeah, that is key. The second thing it also provides for you is the ability to maintain your equipment. So for your remote monitors, there are two ports. One captures the temperature, located within the cold chain. So in this case, freezer. The other port captures the temperature of the room. That is key because if the temperature goes above limits or below it, it can impact the condenser, right? And then, of course, your equipment breaks down. So that is key, really. So two ports. One captures the temperature, monitors the temperature within the system, and then the other one of the environment. Then second thing it does also, it reduces, labor. So what that means is that you can justifiably make use of resources, really, for other things other than just monitoring your freezers. Dr. Moshi talked about having to have staff, attending to freezers physically. So what this do for you is that you don't actually have to work weekends. In our own case, we were initially working weekends and even public holidays, so you had to go there for you to be able to monitor your freezers. But with this, you are able to save that time while you maintain your freezers, remotely, and then you can assign kind of level of privileges to different staff, right? So everyone can see every time. You can receive SMS alert or email alert whenever there is a breakdown. As I was sitting down there just now, I received notification that one of the freezers goes out of limits. So I was quickly able to contact one of my colleagues to go and check, what's happening to that freezer. So that is really key. You don't have to be there physically. Yes. And then, so talking about also the freezer itself, right? Ultra-low freezers. So beyond the fact that, so you may ask, for example, what happens if there's network issues? So you won't be able to receive you won't be able to see real time what happens to your core system. There's these ports to attach to these freezers where you can download your temperature records. So even if there is no system for you to be able to check, probably because of internet issues, you can't check to see the condition of your freezers. You'll be able to download using USB, right? To just see, so it can give you a record of what has happened between this and that. You can check that monthly, you can do that daily, you can do that weekly. So that is actually key. And then
I'm going to touch on that. The Higher Biomedical's USB, depending on the product, it's anywhere between 10 and 15 years. You can keep the data through the USB system on our freezers and refrigerators and products. So it's a very, very key point.
Exactly, yes. Yeah. So I think this is particularly applicable to us, right? So if you are dealing with, say, storage containers. So for vaccines, you can talk about carriers where you need to pick samples from, say, sites, of course, to labs or to different locations where you are kind of distributing this. But for us, we talk about cryovials. So cryovials are these small containers where you aliquot your samples and store in freezers. There's this barcode. So barcode gives you not primarily, but secondary and tertiary identification for your samples. So apart from the fact that you have participant ID attached to the tube, you also have secondary identifiers, for example, the barcode, 2D barcode or 1 barcode. That helps you to kind of assign, that helps you for one, traceability, second thing, audit tray. So you'll be able to identify samples at different levels. And then that also, so if you are dealing with large number of samples, someone may ask, you have a collection of, let's say, thousands of samples, how do you scan them? So for Higher, we have this Canada account, batch code 100 samples at a go. So a batch scanner that can take you, that can just give you the barcode for 100 samples. So if you are doing, let's say, thousands, you'll be able within a very short time to assign secondary identifiers to all the samples. This is key really, and it's amenable to that's amenable to automation. Of course, we're all moving to automation. We are using manual process now. Primary identifier is fine, but by the time you move to automation, you need something that you can basically do using automated processes. And that is where the barcode comes in, really. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you, Mr. Youssef. It's the very poignant points again regarding our management and our monitoring system to ensure you can leave the office, can leave the lab, can leave a remote location, because that real-time monitoring can come through to you on your phone, your tablet, your computer, depending on the requirements of the user. So thank you very much.
Yeah. So just to add a little bit. So we have also seen what has happened with COVID, of course. So you can imagine during COVID, you have a call system, but you cannot physically go there and check because of lockdown. With remote monitoring, you'll be able to see that real time and then see what's happening to your call system also.
Another challenge during the COVID period for us all during lockdown. One quick question, brief answers, because you gentlemen are very busy, and we appreciate your time today. So one final question. I will start again with you, Dr. Mohammed, just to wrap things up, and then any other comments, more than happy to hear from you as well. But can you highlight the gaps and possible suggestions of sustainability? And for me, not just sustainability about product, but sustainability environmentally or any other particular areas. I'm happy to hear from you today.
Thank you very much. Talking about the gaps in terms of cold chain equipment, we have to look at the aspect of absence or minimal number of biomedical engineers in the country. Is a huge gap that we need to close. We need to take a look at issue around electricity. These are gaps in terms of ultra cold chain equipment. Also, we have to look at issue of training. It's a gap because I don't think there's any policy or any curriculum design in the College of Health Technologies where these staff of primary health care are being trained. There's no any component that has to do with maybe training or maintenance of cold chain equipment. It's also a gap. Also, talking about technology again, I think one very, very important, I think, is a challenge or gap in terms of cold chain equipment is that the number of solar panels that are used in charging the SDDs. I think if you can innovate solar panels that we're going to have 1 or 2 solar panels that will power the SDD, it's very, very key. Because you go to a facility, the SDD is working. Once there's a thunderstorm or there's any problem that affects just one panel, the SDD will not be working optimally. So I think we should look into innovating SDD that will just have just one solar panel, so that maybe you have one, you can buy 2. So if that one has problem, you can replace it before you get another one. So, and how do we sustain this thing? For me as a person, I think the sustainability has to start with the issue of let us have a short-term, long-term plan for training of biomedical engineers. Because what we're doing as an agency now in Nasarawa State is that we have engaged with some training institution in Lagos. We'll send like 2 of our staff to go there and train. So in the short term, we're having like a technical support from the institution to support us in the area of managing our SDDs. Because many a times, once these contractors come around, they drop this SDD. Yes, there is guarantee, there is warranty, but after 1-2 years, they will know where to be found. And during the COVID era, just like you were saying, we had in some states in Nigeria where we had breakdown of UCC. The time it takes for the engineer to come and fix that UCC is very long. So anything can happen to the vaccines. So I think that we should have a deliberate policy where some of these SDDs are sent to training institutions, colleges of health technology, so it is part of their syllabus. because I'll borrow from what we did in Nasarawa State, Japago program. We had discussion with the training institution, both colleges of nurses, colleges of health, that the group antenatal care became part of their syllabus. So before you come out of the school, you have a knowledge of group antenatal care. Not that until when you come out, they will now start doing tax shifting, start doing training on group antenatal care. Also in result-based financing that we did, piloted in Nasarawa State, Ondo, Adamawa, and some few other states in Northeast. It was part of the training. So we need to inculcate and bring in these training institutions to address this gap. So that right from the institution, right from the training, they have some minimal knowledge on cold chain equipment maintenance. And also the issue of funding. Let us have a dedicated funding. Let us appreciate some states, some few states in Nigeria where this policy or these their laws have been amended, that there is a direct funding from the local government to the state primary care, certain percentage. So this money that is coming, a dedicated amount is meant or kept for maintenance of SDGs. So I will encourage and plead with most states that don't have this thing as part of their law. Let there be maybe 5% coming from local government that is going to the primary care agency directly to support this area. So I think if that is done, that will help. And talking about the issue of spare parts, technology, I think if we are designing our SDDs, let it be like an open system. Not that once the SDD break down, if you don't get that spare part from higher biomedical, it will never work. So yes, I know we are doing that as businessmen to ensure that yes, that patronage is there. But one disadvantage is this. By the time I procure SDD or solar equipment from your organization, and I cannot maintain it because of just a fuse, the equipment stop working, and I cannot get any fuse from any other organization that can fix it to make it work, it's sending you out of the market, because I will not encourage people to buy from you. But let us have an equipment such that by the time it breaks down, some little parts, yes, we can get other ones that will fix into it so that it will keep working. With that, I will recommend your equipment to those that are in need of it. So I think these are the areas I'm looking at, the gaps and how we'll be able to sustain that. Once we're able to do that, I think we'll be able to have a sustainable system in our various agencies. Thank you very much.
There's some key points continuing to be about training, not just at the facility level, but also changing curriculum at universities or training centres to cover this. Regarding products, obviously we're here to break the monopoly of the past with leading products. So definitely take everything you said on board. But I've taken a lot from today. But before we wrap up, I'm going to hand over to Dr. Mushid for your points as well and suggestions on sustainability, please.
Yeah, thanks. So I'm just going to write on what the Executive Secretary said, because he made really, really important points. For sustainability of any program in Nigeria, we need the system to be strengthened. And when I speak to system strengthening, I'm talking about governance, I'm talking about financing, I'm talking about adaptation of processes and institutionalization of processes into what currently exists in the system, rather than bringing new processes with different methods into the system. When I'm talking about governance, I'm talking about policies, putting policies in place, not just for procurement of cold chain equipment, sustainable cold chain equipment, also for the maintenance of cold chain equipment, also for financing across procurement, across maintenance, across repairs of cold chain equipment in the country. We want policies that ensures that the cold chain storage is continually assessed in the country to know what the gaps are and to inform objective procurement of equipment. And when I speak to objective procurement, I speak to just the cold chain storage gaps also the technical requirements of equipment that's suitable for the environment, and how the government can ensure that all of this feedback are sent to suppliers of cold chain equipment such that they make context-appropriate equipment for the country. This helps in the long run with sustainability in the country. When you speak to financing in the country, there is a lot of duplication of efforts, right? There's a lot of donor funds, a lot of government funds, which are still not enough to sustain programs in the country, especially vaccines and cold chain logistics in the country. The country needs to start thinking about integration of programs, working collaboratively with private sector, with donors, to ensure resources are not duplicated and resources are efficiently managed to ensure sustainability of cold chain equipment in the country. And there's something that the Executive Secretary spoke to, the issue of technology, right? The biggest thing in technology is innovation. We have to continually innovate. Right now in the country, there's a lot of conversation going on integrating supply chain for health commodities in the country, not just vaccines. How can we integrate vaccines with malaria program, with tuberculosis, with HIV/AIDS, with MNCH, right? As we innovate, as we build cold chain equipment, we also need to start thinking, how can we build equipment that can not only store vaccines, right, that can store other commodities together, such as oxytocins and other health commodities. So this helps with sustainability in the long run. And speaking to training, there's the Executive Secretary beautifully put it. We need to institutionalize the trainings. We need to partner with health and knowledge institutions, right? We need to go beyond the traditional way of, we want to deploy equipment. Let's gather all the cold chain technicians in a class and then tell them, this is how you maintain, this is what you do. Let's institutionalize that process, right? Let's work with health institutions. Let's develop curricula with them such that there will be a system in place that when a civil servant, a biomedical engineer exits the system, retires or is transferred, the incoming technician can just go through that institutionalized process and gain all the adequate knowledge that he or she needs to maintain this cold chain equipment. This will ensure maintenance is carried out routinely, equipment are sustained, there's availability of potent medicines for clients at the last mile. So these are the things I see that we need to put in place to ensure sustainability of cold chain in the country.
Thank you. You covered so many areas there. I don't know which one to go back to, but definitely I think technology development, training's the high priority, and curriculum changing. But I think the development of how we do the power through solar panel better, or how we make the products more reusable for other medicines, for example. So I think that's definitely something that, as I talked about earlier in my initial speech, is that we are here to listen, to understand what are the needs for the country, for the end user, make life better. Okay, that's our motto. So how do we do that? We learn from you. We take those ideas back to engineers and say, this is what we need for the future in Nigeria in particular. So this is what I've taken from today, and I know that the team will take back these key points. I know I can't go everything you mentioned, but it's very important to hear from you gentlemen today about these particular issues and benefits that are going on and the needs that are required here in Nigeria. So I'm going to ask Dr. Bello just finally to his thoughts on that. Again, any suggestions on sustainability? There's a lot that's come out of today, and I hope that we can take this back and develop a better system, better technology, better software to try and help what we've learnt from here today. But Dr. Bello, just to wrap things up, your thoughts?
Thank you once again. My take on this is to give a suggestion, especially to companies like yours, especially when you're in the market. I like what the ES mentioned. It's not just about having the products being procured by the end user, but it's to follow, to know how well those equipments are faring, especially when you have several of those equipment from other manufacturers. What do I mean by this? So if I have two equipments, one from company A and the second one from company B, and I'm having several breakdown of the one equipment over the other, definitely if I'm suggesting to as a person or to any other person to procure, I will recommend the equipment that has less breakdown or that doesn't have any breakdown. So probably before even deployment, maybe at the stage of development of those equipment, perhaps if you could produce little quantities and through your agents in different countries, test run the how the environment affects the working nature of the equipment and what needs to be improved, such that before you made huge investment in making lots of those products and deploying to different countries, you must have had your own experience based using your own local vendor to know that this equipment has this. Even within Nigeria, for instance, you may have different working environmental effects on the equipment running from the northern to the down to the southern parts of the country. So if you can have that research part strengthened to test run the equipment using your own local vendor even before making lots of the equipment and deploying, I think that is a very good way to start with, so that your equipment, once they come into the market, you won't have a lot of hue and cry from the end users saying that the equipment are having these problems or the other. And then if we go into the issue of innovation, as it were, we're having challenges of insecurity in lots parts of the country. So can we think of innovation and invest in the areas of making drones to deliver life-saving commodities and vaccines to hard-to-reach, to security compromised areas? And of course, these drones you may also test to see how the different temperature can be set to accommodate the different vaccines and commodities we have in the field. I think this will go a long way in because of the realities we have on ground, security, a lot of areas hard to reach.
Rivers, deserts, it's not security, as Dr. Mohammed mentioned earlier. I agree with you that I would guarantee you that most manufacturers are looking at drone technology to carry a cold box from A to B. I can guarantee you that there's nobody that we're competing against is not looking into that technology to make it easier and to deliver the life-saving vaccines. And regarding the technology, I think you're 100% right that one product does not fit every country, and that what's important about having a relationship such as Intertrade is that they're on the ground. We're good at what we do, and we're good at manufacturing and innovation, okay? But we can only innovate what we understand, what the requirements are in your country. And having the relationship with Intertrade and the close relationship that they need to have with you helps build the future product development and the sustainability of the product for your particular region. They said one-stop shop is not always the key for this particular product. Maybe if you're working with different NGOs, they say, we want this, we want that, but we as a company are drilling down to understand the needs of particular regions. And that's important, your feedback on what's needed next year, 3 years, 5 years, to be sustainable and for vaccines or other medicines. So, sorry to cut you off, but just to wrap up.
Also, I think besides selling products to the end user, I think there's that need to follow to get feedback. How do you see this equipment? How is it functioning? What needs to be done? But how do I need to improve? So if you do that, I think because you may have two equipments, one is having one advantage over the other. So of course, if you have that interaction or a mechanism of getting feedback from the end user, it will really help you in future designs as you deploy the equipments down the lane. And then the issue of training and retraining, I think the issue of having some edutainment package, short videos, which can be shared across different platforms of these health workers, it will really help in as a reminder, as also as serve as reference material whenever these health workers are moved from one station over or the other, making posters, making short books or something that really can gauge these health workers being engaged. So because of the paucity of workers that we have at the different levels, and also the issue of that knowledge gap we have in terms, especially in terms of maintenance of the cold chain equipment. Of course, we've talked about a lot on the cold chain equipment, the active cold chain equipment. There's also need to also focus on the passive cold chain equipment, especially when you have mass campaigns. You need to move out of the facility to go into the markets, into riverine areas and other places, distant places to get the clients. I think you also need to look into the passive.
We have the passive we have the passive transport cooler, so hopefully we can showcase that to you today at the office. But some more key points again from you on this particular area.
And then the last one I will have is also talking about the same research, looking into the epidemiology of diseases as they evolve, and how which disease is trending, how which vaccines, which medicines are being, what is the storage. I think if you also focus on that, so that as disease evolve, you are also on top of the situation, bringing in to the market and to solutions to countries and organizations, equipment that will fit and solve problems. Like we mentioned, the issue of COVID that came requiring ultra cold chain. Of course, a lot of manufacturers went into the market and start producing equipment that will meet those requirements. So if we do that, I think we will be very good to go. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bello. I can say that we do have the videos now for most of the products for simple training, but maybe we need to improve them. And part of my job is also having the marketing department, is that it's my team needs to produce those videos. So feedback through to the team also on maybe we need to provide to you guys again what videos we already do have for simple maintenance, for basic training, which we do have available on our YouTube channel and our website. But maybe we need to just update those a little bit better, and understanding the requirements of your end users will help myself and the marketing team and Intertrade, Ian and Romanus as well, to understand what we need to feed back to me so I can make sure the marketing team can do that. So I think it's time to wrap up. Thank you all, Mr. Rufus, Dr. Mohammed, Dr. Bello, Dr. Mushud. Thank you so much. I know you gentlemen are seriously busy all the time, so we appreciate from Intertrade, and obviously I'm representing the Higher Biomedical or the Higher Holdings Board, from Ms. Tan, our chairperson, and Dr. Liu, our CEO. We really appreciate your time and being here today to offer your candid, open, and direct thoughts of what we need to do as an organisation, and what we need to do as a country, and what we need to do as individuals to make things better in the biomedical life science area. So I want a big round of applause for the gentleman on the thing today. So thank you very much, and I thank you.
Thank you very much. On behalf of my colleagues, I want to use this opportunity to thank you once more for this opportunity, for this interface. I think beyond the talk show that we are having today, I will urge Intertrade to interface with the various states. It's possible, let's have a discussion beyond this talk show with the ESC so that we know where the gaps are and know where we can work together with the Intertrade. Thank you very much.
Agree 100%. This is just a beginning, isn't it? This should not finish at the end of this conversation. But I did miss one part. Any thoughts or questions for the panel or myself or the team before we wrap things up and I think go to lunch or something? But any questions for the esteemed gentleman on the panel today? I'm opening up very quickly for a couple of questions, if there's any from the audience.
Thank you very much. My name is Juan Mohammed. I'm the Executive Chairman of Rochester Primary Care Development Agency. And I was very happy about this conference because When I was in FCT, I was the executive secretary for 8 years. We don't have forum. We decided to at least procure or purchase the forum. And it was higher biomedical. I was told yesterday that I should be here today. I'm so happy that there was the only one in FCT, the only one. And we actually installed it. The problem we are facing now, which I want to ask Bello, is the planned preventive maintenance. We had a lot of trouble on planned preventive maintenance of this cold room. Thank God when I was in Bauchi, we have MOU, have money for maintenance, have money for last mile distribution. Within 1 week, all the person will be in the facility. And if there's any problem, we call them for discussion. We had it in the budget, we have a budget line. And I also have funds from the MOU, Bill and Melinda Gates and Bill and Dangote Foundation with USAID. We have funds assigned for this. So I have no problem in Bauchi. But here we are in FCT, where I was before, was Pioneer Executive Secretary. How to even take the vaccine from one point to another, from FCT here, Korum, to the interland. Most of the time, we are talking about integration now. We are integrating all activities anywhere we are. Either it is COVID-19, we want to integrate with RI. And either all how can we carry 5 commodities without compromising quality, without accountability? The time they will tell you that I've carried the RI and we're doing the COVID-19 together. But the truth is that they may document lies, they may not document the correct thing, but the maintenance of this equipment and the sustainability of this equipment you brought to us. Even the Pen Lab is linking up with you. All the equipment that the Federal National Power is, they buy from higher Biomedical, most of them. And then there's an organization, there's Pen Lab, which recently installed about 25 SDGs in Bauchi. And the one that they brought recently, 86 minus 86 ultra-cold refrigerators, collapsed when they brought it. It went up and the vaccines are already inside. We run into trouble. Where do we go? I have only 2 biomedical engineers in the whole of Bauchi. State-owned, only 2. How can you maintain this equipment? They are electricians, we can convert them to biomedical engineers. They can be trained and retrained so they can maintain this. Thank God, Bauchi State government bought 2 ultra-cold equipment at 21 million naira before the installation by the National Power. So that was the only thing that saved us. Those who moved the vaccines to the other side. We don't have problem. Other states, they don't even have anyone except that particular ultra-cold, only one. So it took us 1 week before that ultra-cold equipment was maintained, repaired, because there was a power surge somewhere. So I just want to appeal to Dr. Bello particularly, who actually supply most of this in from Global Fund, from Gavi, and all others, that we need to institutionalize, as this man has said, put it in our curriculum in the school, medical school, nursing, our community, to teach the people how to do this simple maintenance of taking care of the solar, taking care of the batteries, and other things. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. I know that was more of a statement than a question, so I think you're in agreement that we need to improve training and curriculums to better have people, both at the city and regional levels, understand how to use the products if there's any problems. So thank you for your statement. And we have one more here, and then we'll wrap things up. Okay.
Very much. My name is Dr. Babagana Pundi Machina, Executive Secretary, Biomedical Primary Healthcare Board. I also want to throw the line of my other colleagues in appreciating you for organizing this conference, which is quite timely and useful. My comment or suggestion or request can be any of the 3. Is for us to have products that are probably offered to our specific needs in our various states, as my chairman of our forum has said. In Yobe State, we have over 280 SDGs installed across the state. We have 440 health facilities providing routine immunization services. So some of these health facilities have to act as the sentinel sites from where neighboring facilities that are not equipped with SDDs actually get their vaccines from. And that has been working well for us. So as far as the furniture maintenance in the state is concerned, we don't have much problem, and I think it's a sustainable way of looking at it. And in fact, to ensure sustainability, by the way, he mentioned MOU. EOB is also an MOU state, and we looked at, we were encouraged by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to look at how we can look inwards and train our own technicians and biomedical engineers. We also have only 2 biomedical engineers, and we have about 6 technicians. We train them. We have to pull them across various parastatals in the state to have a centralized biomedical team in the state. They were trained. We used the resources of the basket fund, train them, and we have now deployed them, obviating the need for us to engage some private concerns to be undertaking the plant preventive maintenance for us, which is saving costs and ensuring that this installed SDDs actually continue to function for a very long time for us to continue to reap benefits. I'm thinking that we are also now looking at how we can ensure that all our health facilities, at least the 178 watt focal health facilities, have solar power for the whole facility. We are piloting that with 40 health facilities in collaboration with the Ministry of Transport and Energy in my state this year. But I'm thinking that since we have about 591 health facilities, not just the 178 watt focal, is it possible for us to take this conversation further and maybe look at having some products that may not be the electrification of the whole health facility, but maybe specific service points. For example, in the delivery room, if we can have maybe like the angle post lamp that is probably solar powered. I am very sure it will be much more cheaper than electrifying the whole health facility with solar power. And maybe we can start that for the other smaller health facilities, the basic clinics and rest, while we continue with our drive of ensuring that we solarize all the 178 watt focal facilities that are our priority for now. So I'm thinking that maybe we can actually take this conversation forward. It is possible that we can have some low-cost, high-impact interventions that will ensure that service delivery in those other health facilities are also improved. Thank you.
Thank you for your statement. I think what's important about today is we take all the information on board and innovate to ensure that we're looking after everybody in the market. One final question down the back, or statement.
All right. Permit me to stand on the already established protocol. My name is Dr. Okoli Nicholas. I'm representing the Executive Secretary, FCT Primary Healthcare Board. So I want to, first of all, corroborate the submission of my former boss, the pioneer Executive Secretary of FCT Primary Healthcare Board, and the current chairman of Bauchi State Primary Healthcare Board. Okay, so I just want to collaborate his story, and to also use this opportunity to say a big thank you to Higher Biomedical, because FCT is one of the, we have benefited from Higher Biomedical through their corporate social responsibility, because in 2016, if I remember correctly, June 2016, Family Health Clinic Area 2 is one of our star clinic, and Biomedical, through Intertrade, they were able to donate a solar refrigerator to us in that facility. Since June 2016 till date, it has been there and working perfectly well. The issue of challenges with vaccine storage was a thing of the past in that facility. That's not alone. Also in 2019, we also benefited again from Higher Biomedical. Another one was donated to FCT, which is also cited in Mabushi, PSC, and is currently working. That was in 2019. It's still working perfectly well till date. So I want to say that this is a good opportunity for us to leverage on, to partner with Higher Biomedical to make sure that the issues we have in the cold chain equipment or supply chain is addressed. So thank you very much, and I wish to say thank you again.
Thank you very much. That's a wrap. And again, thank you all for joining the panel today and speaking freely and openly about how we can do things better in the future. So to you all, thank you very much. I hope to get to speak to you a little bit later. And to everybody, thank you for your statements and your questions. And now on to the next section. So I'm going to hand over to my namesake, Peter.
Yeah.
So over to Peter. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you, Mr. Peter. Thank you, our panelists. Please, you just hold on for a photo session.
We want to appreciate everybody for coming. It's going to be a buffet lunch, but after the lunch, we are inviting everybody to visit our showroom and our training center. So while the lunch is on, one of the Intertrade staff is going to come and possibly give logistics. Some people are mobile because we want flexibility as much as possible. We don't want to crowd everybody at the same time. Some people are mobile. Intertrade also has a set of cars here. So we'll give you a contact number, we'll give you a Google map, and then for those who are mobile, for some cars that are going, so that coordination will be done while we have lunch to make sure that everybody is catered for to get to the training center and the office and the showroom without any hitch. So while the meals will be going on, one of our staff will come and give all the details and possibly give contact numbers. So once you finish, our plan is not everybody will finish at the same time. So those who finish first, we start batching to go so that you don't have a crowd. You can have ample time and experience visiting both facilities. Thank you very much.
IR Biomedical ensures you are safeguarding the vaccines from manufacturer to the vaccinated. This occurs by securing the safety and reliability of vaccines for millions of people all around the world. IR Biomedical has an extensive range of medical freezers to meet the whole process of your transportation and storage needs for all manufacturing.
The networking can take place
vaccines.
outside
Minus
the kitchen
86 degrees
department.
Celsius, ultra-low
For ease
temperature
of
freezers.
movement,
A variety
networking
of
should
models
take
and
place
solutions are
outside the
available
kitchen
to meet your
department,
requirements,
please.
such as the Twin Cool, Smart Frequency, Low Energy Freezer, and Under-Counter ULT Freezer. Minus 10 degrees Celsius to minus 30 degrees Celsius biomedical freezers. Biomedical freezers are designed for storage of critical and temperature-sensitive biological samples, vaccines, and laboratory products in hospitals, pharmacies, and laboratories. 2 to 8 degrees Celsius pharmacy refrigerators and vaccine refrigerators. Pharmacy refrigerators are mainly used to preserve pharmaceuticals and vaccines. With more than 20 models that cover all required specifications, they are suitable for pharmacies,
While you are having your meal, try and know the person sitting next to you. Network,
Additionally,
exchange contact,
areas where
and most
electricity is
importantly,
unavailable or
the phone
unstable.
number you must not leave here without having
has
is my
independently
number.
Developed a range
Enjoy
of
your meal.
semi-direct
Thank you.
vaccine refrigerators to fully guarantee the safety, security, and reliability of vaccine storage. Cold room storage. IR Biomedical's cold room storage meets the different storage needs of all kinds of temperature-sensitive products. Transportation solutions using IR Biomedical refrigerated vehicles in conjunction with approved vaccine fridges by the WHO Gavi Alliance. Further strengthen and ensure the safety and security of the vaccines across the complete cold chain, from manufacture to the vaccinated. The IR Biomedical Transport Cooler enables flexible transportation and real-time temperature control to ensure the safety of temperature-sensitive pharmaceuticals and vaccines in real time. Aside from refrigerated vehicles and transport coolers, IR Biomedical also offers a liquid nitrogen container solution to cover all requirements for different user transport needs.
Haier, the #1 white goods brand in the world, had recorded 180.3 billion RMB in revenue and a total profit of 10.8 billion RMB in 2013. Haier Biomedical, as a part of Haier Group, has been caring for life since its founding. In 2006, we took a giant step to launch our own ultra-low temperature technology by establishing a minus 86 degrees Celsius freezer line. This was the beginning of challenging the industry. In 2009, Haier developed China's first minus 150 degrees Celsius cryogenic storage freezers, joining an elite group of international companies capable of mastering the technology. In 2009, Haier vaccine refrigerators were also completed with WHO and PQS certification. Subsequently, Haier was enlisted on WHO's procurement catalog and became WHO's key supplier for vaccine freezers and refrigerators. We also built China's largest development base and production base on ultra-low temperature systems and cryogenic cold chain systems. Haier's strong presence in low temperature systems secured its position as one of the main authors on China national standards. In January 2014, we started producing the world's most energy-efficient ultra-low temperature freezer, thus positioning ourselves as the world leader on the forefront of ULT technology, with the most environmentally friendly and reliable refrigeration technology.